Karen Attiah, or Attiah, Karen Attiah, is an editor at the Washington Post. She was the editor for the murdered journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Miss Attiah is now calling for Congress to investigate Trump and Jared Kushner's ties, both of these criminal fuckers, their ties to Saudi Arabia. Because it's not just Trump, it's Kushner too. And the wonderfully dressed and beautifully coiffed and perfectly made up Ivanka. If you had a dad like President Pig, what would you do? I can't imagine. But anyway, Karen Attiah, the editor for Jamal Khashoggi, is now calling for Congress to investigate Trump and his fucked up son-in-law, Jared. Attiah wrote on Twitter on Wednesday, quote, "It's easy to get lost in the grief and outrage over Trump siding with Saudi regime that thinks nothing of butchering peaceful journalists in consulates. But hope is not all lost. Congress must act and the American people can still help." I mean, listen to the sentence. It's easy to get lost in the grief and outrage over Trump siding with Saudi regime that thinks nothing of butchering peaceful journalists in consulates. This fucking hit squad shows up in Turkey, and one of the chief murderers brings with him a fucking bone saw. A bone saw. Can you imagine what they did to Khashoggi? No, you can't. Neither can I. I mean, we can imagine him having his fingers cut off and screaming for mercy, which is on the tape that was made by the Turks, that the head of our CIA has listened to. What's her name? I forget her name. She's listened to it. And she hasn't said, since she heard that tape, a fucking word. Not a word. It's easy to get lost in the grief and outrage over Trump siding with Saudi regime that thinks nothing of butchering a peaceful journalist in a consulate. Motherfucker. Boy, I'll tell you. Here we are. And you think my cursing and my use of shitty language is disturbing when this kind of stuff is going on? Ms. Attiah listed several ways that Congress could act, including declassifying the CIA report by the woman I just mentioned that concluded Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered Khashoggi's killing. Congress could also share CIA intelligence on the kingdom and investigate Trump and Kushner's financial relationship with Saudi Arabia. That's what's behind all of this. Money, money, money. On Tuesday, just passed, in a statement, Trump said that he would maintain, quote, what he calls the steadfast alliance with Saudi Arabia, which once again makes it clear that President Pig doesn't want something as trivial as the murder and dismemberment of somebody get in the way of his relationship with the Saudi royals. The death and dismemberment and cutting into little pieces of Khashoggi means nothing to Trump. What did he say? Or Pompeo or somebody said, it's a dangerous world out there or something. Yeah, you're fucking right, it is. But Trump no more cares about the torture murder of somebody than he cares about his son Barron. Nothing. Zero. Zip. Blank. This is where we live. This is us. This is the leader of the free world. If that doesn't stick in your throat, nothing will. In the same statement, Trump refused to blame Mohammed bin Salman for Khashoggi's killing, even though the CIA has concluded that murderous fucking Saudi prince ordered it. Miss Attiah, Karen Attiah, the editor at the Washington Post, she called Trump's statement, quote, full of lies and a blatant disregard for his own intelligence agencies, end quote. Well, Miss Attiah, that's not a surprise. He said some 400-pound guy in New Jersey might have hacked into email servers for the Democrats. I mean, he would not put the blame where it belongs on this fucking fascist leader of Russia, Putin. He wouldn't do it. Ms. Attiah also said, quote, Trump's statement also shows an unforgivable disregard for the lives of Saudis who dare criticize the regime. This is a new low, she added, end quote. It may be a new low, but it should be apparent now there is no bottom in terms of morality, ethical behavior, justice, decency, honesty. There is no bottom for the Trumps. They'll go down and keep going down. As long as they see in all the shit down there what looks like a 25-cent piece, they'll keep diving for that motherfucker. Trust me. They have no regard for human life, decency, anything. And that's the scary part. That's the scary part.
Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.